Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We will get started in just a few minutes. We have a few technical details to take care of before we go live. And while we are waiting to get started, I'm going to ask if everybody wants to put in their name and the place that they're living in, just so that we have a sense of who is here. So go ahead and feel free to put that in the chat. All right, we are just about to go live on Facebook. And I see Jessica from Brazil is here. All right, Facebook Live is taking a little longer than usual. Okay, it looks like we are live on Facebook.
Okay, are we all set then, Karen?
I'm just going to do one last check and then I will give you the heads up.
Great.
And yes, we are indeed live. And just for everybody here, if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the Q&A. And go ahead, Marnie, take it away.
And off we go. Well, welcome everyone as we recognize the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. My name is Marnie Delaney, and I'm chair of the Global Disability Caucus, or GDC, as it is commonly known. I'm a senior citizen with gray hair, wearing a black and white sweater, and my 1984, if you can see it, 1984 DNC badge, delegate badge. I'm in my living room in front of an impressionistic painting of 3rd Street in San Francisco. The Global Disability Caucus and our co-sponsor, the Environmental Climate Crisis Committee, are delighted and grateful that you've joined us to hear about the experience of disabilities and the significant issues facing the disability community. We know that there will be enormous challenges to our rights and the resources and services we need during the coming 4 years. Today should provide us with great insights to guide us as we resist moves backward. We will continue to help build a more accessible and sensitive Democrats abroad and provide opportunities for education and training. Hopefully, you are already aware of the range of information and resources on our website, linked in the chat. But we will also be keeping a careful eye on what is happening in DC and in state houses around the country and, in fact, around the world. We will speak up in support of the protections and support that exists, and we will protest strenuously any words or deeds which undermine the rights and privileges of Americans with disabilities. Whether it is trying to abolish the Department of Education, rounding up and deporting people without due process, or cutting support for health, housing, food, education, and other assistance programs which benefit those in need, we're going to keep our eyes on it. So today our guest is Puneet Singhal. He is a co-founder of Billion Strong and serves as as the chief discovery officer, championing global initiatives for disability, neurodiversity, and mental health inclusion. His advocacy extends to an assistive technology consultancy with the International Disability Alliance, where he promotes solutions that enhance accessibility and independence. Born into poverty and facing domestic violence, Panit lives with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and stammering, experiences that fuel his passion for advocacy. He leads workshops and mentorship programs addressing intersectional issues related to disability, climate change, and social justice. Recognized by Forbes for his efforts in workplace inclusion, Puneet has also was also honored with the Commonwealth Innovation Awards in 2023 for his contributions to disability inclusion worldwide. His commitment seeks to empower marginalized communities and create accessible environments for all. I'd add that he is a regular presence on LinkedIn, and his many thoughtful contributions are interesting, educational, and inspiring. I'd encourage you to link up there. In the dictionary, this is what I want to say. In the dictionary, under dedication, there is a picture of this gentleman. Thanks for being here, Paneet. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Mandi. I think that was a long, long introduction. Uh, to uh, to to visually describe myself, I'm a young man from India. I have a brown skin, black hairs. I am wearing black headphones, and I'm wearing a blue check shirt with a wall in background that is a little off white. And to describe myself, as Mani have already said, I'm a person with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and stammering. And today I would like to talk about certain experiences and what I have learned from my disability advocacy so far, especially in these times where uh, globally we are facing a lot of challenges, social, environmental, and political. And these challenges is very apparent, and these challenges is also giving us an opportunity to come in solidarity, and to show that we are much more than these difficulties and these challenges which is in front of us. Starting from my childhood, I had an abusive alcoholic father, and uh, and due to which I would say the childhood was very dark, uh, symbolically and literally sometimes, because the electricity was also not there in my neighborhood when I was a child, uh, which really improved in like last recent years. But uh, electricity was a luxury for me in my early years. And uh, during night, when my father used to come, we used to hide in the dark, my mother and I. And that was the fear, and that was the kind of beginning I had of my life. And due to which my uh, mother had a lot of mental health challenges, uh, and now she is chronically ill. So sometimes she is uh, very good. Sometimes she is able to walk and do good do good stuff, go for shopping and all of these things, but some days are completely off. So it's very unpredictable, and which really made me stay at home. So I always advocate for flexibility in work as well, especially for persons with disabilities, and for the people who provide care to their loved ones, for their family as well, because this kind of flexibility will enable me to be with my mom most of the time, because we don't know what's coming next. So I've been always talking about how to provide the opportunity to choose for their employees, but certain employers have this sense of control, have this sense of that if you are coming uh, to the office space, then I think we are able to look to you. We are more in control, and we are more, we can more decide, which is of course, like, we have several reports from uh, Accenture and various think tanks and organizations which have proven that work from home has nothing to do with the productivity. In fact, productivity goes up when we work from home, or we have a flexibility, maybe an hybrid model as well. uh, Apart from that, I would be talking about that how uh, things have been very difficult in countries like India, where there is very less awareness about neurodiversity, because it's a new, kind of uh, conditions, which have been, just people are coming to know about it. It's nothing, it's not like that they are new, but the awareness part is very new. So more and more people are coming out with autism, dyslexia, ADSD. So the diagnosis rate have increased, uh, and because of that, and thankfully because of that, we are starting to have these conversations, and the things have been on a very right track, on a very positive note. The government and the other organizations are working a lot to understand and to improve the accessibility for not only for people with physical disabilities, but people with non-neurodiverse conditions as well. So things have been really, I would say, uh, on a right track, and thankfully we have a lot of wonderful uh, activists all over the world who are doing their part, who are ready to provide their feedback. And I always say to the organizations who are working like in any field, that we are one of the very few uh, uh, users who can provide you free of cost feedback. So please make most of it. Persons with disabilities are always complaining, always saying that this should improve, that should improve, and that is, I think, that must be taken in a positive light, because you coming to know how to improve. And I always say to organizations, that let's flip the narrative. How we see inclusion, how we see accessibility. Why you see accessibility as an extra cost? Why do you see that it's an added feature? No, accessibility should be the core of how we do things. And it's a very broad concept. And I have also come through various organizations that say that we are 100% accessible, which is fundamentally cannot happen, because diversity is like, disabilities are so diverse. There are so many conditions, which we have not taken account yet, and still people have been claiming that we are 100% accessible. So I think that is a very, uh, I would say, overestimation of, that you're just putting ramps and maybe providing braille signage and all of these very, very, I would say, very beginning in the accessibility realm. You are actually try to say that you are accessible. So I think that is also we need to accept that it's a ongoing journey, and it's a process. It's a I would say, with fast feedback loop, we can always improve, and we can always be on the journey of improvement, instead of just saying that, okay, we have made it. No, I think we are all are learning. And I always say that, I can only provide uh, insights as a person with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and stammering. For some other conditions, I don't know. You have to reach out to people with these conditions if you're working for that people. So if you're talking to, we always say that if you're talking to one disabled people, you are only talking to one disabled person. It's not like that you understand. It's not a monolith. Like, we are so different. We have our own dreams, flaws, weaknesses, dreams, and everything. Like we said, we are, in fact, at the end of the day, human beings. And society still struggle to understand that, the kind of, our identity uh, goes down to our disability, which is of course very limiting belief. And this belief, like, I've been challenging through uh, being on various sessions, writing a lot uh, about ableism, about how to be more accessible, and various aspects of disabled life. And things have been uh, very good indeed, because someone who is coming from Islam in India, like, have got so much of recognition, because I got access to internet. I got access to platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, and then Facebook, and all of these things. I think I started to write as well. And for disabled people, I must say that it's very difficult to actually share. If we are not comfortable with the point of sharing and being vulnerable, it's very difficult. So I remember when I first posted about my condition, I was so nervous that I just pressed the uh, post button, and then I slept. No, I was just sleeping because I was so nervous that I do not want people to know about it. And we all go through similar experiences, in the beginning, because my best friend said that, that I never know that uh, uh, you stammer, or I never know that you are dyslexic, because I was so good in hiding. I was so good in masking that sometimes I used to change the words. For example, I always struggle with the word through. So anything that comes with through sound, even my name Puneet. So I always struggle with my name Puneet. I always stutter on this sound. So I used to avoid saying certain words. I uh, uh, I try to change these words with something else. Of course, I cannot change my name, but all the other words can be supplemented. So people were not aware of that. So at the end of the day, when I own my stammering, that I stammer, and I started this organization where with the idea that people with stammering, or people with any uh, condition, should not shy away, should not escape or try to hide from the world. Instead, we should come out and say that that this is disability is part of human existence. So, like, one of the main thing that I did in my advocacy was that I make sure that people hear the sound of my stuttering voice. So I was always on different podcast, because if you want to normalize stuttering or stammering, it's really important that people should hear that stammer. Otherwise, if we're just saying that, okay, it's okay, then I think it will not be a holistic solution. And I always encourage, and you know try just a nudge to my participants in my organization, that that you should do more of public speaking. If you're comfortable with it, just try a little bit of public speaking. Just try to own uh, our our stammer. And I always believe that if we stammer with little bit of love and not with fear, I think it's always so good. It's always so kind of, we offer something to the communication part as well. Very humane communication, very honest. Uh, because my stammering come from a space that I do not want my listeners to wait, so I hurry up sometimes. I do not. I care for my listeners. If Marnie is listening to me, I do not want her to listen to wait. So for this is my stammering. The nature of my stammering is very different from some others nature. Some people just stammer. Maybe they are not nervous, they are not, they're nothing, but they will just stammer. Some people only stammer in front of their teachers, in front of their parents, if they are under pressure, if they are nervous. Someone will stammer in interviews, someone will stammer. So all of these, like, different aspects of stammering is there. And it's very beautiful, when we understand ourselves, that okay, this is how my tongue is behaving, this is how mouth is like, making sounds and voices and all of these things. So it's a very interesting, and I would say very spiritual for me as well, because uh, I see the process of talking as meditation. I I forget myself. I just wanted to express, and this comes from the space that I was not able to express myself, and I was not getting the opportunity to express. So now, when I feel so wonderfully thankful to the God that now I'm getting opportunity, and people are listening to me, and I'm listening to people. We are sharing ideas, we're exchanging thoughts. It's a wonderful uh, thing to be an activist. Generally, people believe that activists are always angry and always fiery and always, that's true as well. But activism is born out of empathy. Activism is born out of love. And if we just focus, or if we just embrace that, someone is trying to improve the society, be it climate change, be it mental health activism, be it any kind of activism, we just should acknowledge the part that here is a person who is trying to improve the world for all of us, not for uh, that person's personal glory, but out of empathy and care and affection towards the humankind. I think that is very important. And also, uh, I have recently started an initiative called G- Green Disability. So, green is for ecology, green is for environment, green is for nature, disability is for how the climate crisis is disproportionately affecting persons with disability, and how we are not considered a stakeholder when governments and other organizations are making policies around climate. So this is very, I would say, alarming situation for us, because if sometimes policies are not inclusive, if policies and I would say the disaster management mechanism is not accessible, then I think that's not a comprehensive climate justice. That's why disability justice and climate justice goes hand in hand. If things are not accessible, then it's, for me, it will not be sustainable. For example, I give you several examples how things can get tricky. So one of my deaf person, he's a very close friend of mine. He's deaf, and during the recent hurricane in US, he need to uh, go out of his house, evacuate from his house, and he was not able to listen to the alarm, of course, because he's deaf, and there was no other mechanism in place. So he got late to go out of his house, which can be really harmful for his life as well. So we are advocating to the governments and to the big organizations like UN and other uh, organizations, that I think disaster management process should be more accessible for all of us. Uh, if instead of alarms, we can have some kind of vibration, some kind of lighting, some kind of other systems in place as well, so that people with different disabilities are also included in the mechanism. And then uh, also the narrative that during the time of earthquakes, hurricanes, and all of these things, disabled people are burden. This is also a narrative which we are hearing all over the world. Not specific to one country, but all over the world. This has been a kind of, I would say, a kind of very common and very, I would say, very directive and very regressive thought system. So uh, this is also we are trying to challenge through our initiative. And also, I come from New Delhi, India. So right now, if you are aware, it has like very severe air pollution, you know at least 5 times more than the prescribed point of AQI. So if it's around 700 right now, and I am not going outdoors because of that severe uh, air pollution. Uh, and it's really challenging, especially like if you are um, disabled and neurodivergent, the challenges becomes multifold. For example, I was just recently studying a research report which says that people with Down syndrome have are most affected by heat waves. So these people will require uh, a, a a cooling, a lot of cooling around heat waves, much more than the people who do not have Down syndrome. So our needs are very different, and we need care as well. So the green disability is some kind of an effort where we give specific recommendation to policymakers, and also to mobilize our own community as well, to not just uh, uh, talk about their needs, but also put it in front of the world that this is what we need, and this is how we can improve in uh, climate change resilience process, because we always talk about resilience, and accessibility is the ultimate form of resilience. If we are more accessible, the life standard will increase, and the quality of life will ultimately improve. And also, right now, like, the lack of funding, lack of resources, like I've been pretty much facing these challenges, especially like the organizations are very focused on optics. They are just wanted to show that they are inclusive. But when we go to them and we ask for funding, because money is required in this capitalist world, we just cannot say that, okay, yeah, yeah, you are good, you're doing good work. But I think we need funds, we need resources, and sometimes the organizations are not coming, with intent. They are just showing it with words, but not with actions, uh, and with the upcoming, all of these dynamics that are into place. I don't think things will improve in next few years. So I think we need to explore and think how uh, we can share resources, and especially with the most vulnerable of our population. And I think it's not going to be easy, but I see this as an opportunity. I see that how we can come together and started to share, instead of I give you just an example of how uh, uh, rich countries and poor countries, like the divide. So I was reading a report where an organization is giving uh, $100,000 of salary to their top executives. And when it comes to helping, when it comes to providing funding to the beneficiaries, they are providing 0.65 US dollars to a person in Nepal as their beneficiary, which is not sufficient for to take care. $0.65 is not even $1 a day. And the same organization is providing million of dollars in salary to the people who are sitting in offices. So I think we need some kind of balance, little bit kind of balance. Of course, I'm not saying that this should completely like flip, but some kind of accountability and rationality as well, because the number game doesn't suit this way. So I think that there are a lot of, I would say, a lot of learnings from last few years, especially after the pandemic. I was expecting that we will be doing better around 2025, but I'm I would say I'm disappointed. And with December is the month where we all reflect. It's winters, it's holidays. We reflect, we think about the future. We also retrospect about the past. So I just wanted to give all the listeners a kind of a thought that where we want to head, and what uh, small part we can play in making our world a little better for all of us. And I think it's high time that we think about sharing, think about ideas, things, uh, think about how uh, we can all grow together, and instead of competing with each other, we collaborate. Because with especially like I have observed this pattern that disability organizations have been competing with each other instead of collaborating. And I think I always say that out of all of these as 17 SDGs that have been given by the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17. And the 17th talks about collaboration and partnership. And I always say that, without the 17th goal, we would not be able to achieve the first 16th. So partnership and collaboration is really important. And also fair partnerships, instead of looking to exploit and looking to just see that what we can gain from a partnership. We think about, can we ask us a question that what how can we contribute, how can we uh, actually uh, provide our world, provide the other organization an opportunity to learn and grow while being with us. you know so I think if we change the framing of our questions, if we change the priority of how we look uh, at partnerships, how we look at collaborative uh, approach, I think things can really change. And also let's talk about ableism, because you must have noticed that in all the political campaigns around the world, I'm saying, if we want to attack uh, our opponents, we use disability slurs. If someone is not if some leader is not behaving in the way that you want them to, we say that okay, they are deaf or they are blind. So I think this is not the way to use disability conditions as an insult. And I think uh, it's a very it's very demeaning. It's I think we should focus more on the argument, more on the substance of the argument, substance of our work, and our ambitions and aspirations about what we want to do if we win, instead of just saying that this person is like kind of personal attacks on body organs, on various stuff. So it's absolutely uh, not fair. And I would end with a poem that I wrote a few weeks back, uh, and it was really liked by the uh, uh, our community, and they say that you should continue the series. So I have uh, written two parts already, and I'm planning to write and continue this series. Just a second. Yes. Yeah, so here it goes. The name of the poetry is called If Everyone Was a Little Disabled, because we often hear that, okay, I am also disabled. So let's hear that if everyone was a little disabled, how the world would be. So if everyone was a little disabled, the world would look a little different, a little softer, a little slower, a little kinder. Ramps would blend into sidewalks, and doors would open without a struggle. Braille would be as common as print, and sign language would flow like poetry in conversations, in classrooms, on screens. If everyone was a little disabled, timelines would flex, meetings would pause, and hustle culture might finally take a seat. No one would call it special treatment. It if all we needed space to breathe, to rest, to gather strength for the next step. People would think before they speak, seeing words as bridges, not weapons. They had know that some days are harder, that patience isn't charity, it's humanity. Crowded rooms would be quiet centuries, not battles of noise and glare. And stairs would come with options for those whose steps falter, for those who roll or sway or lean. If everyone was little disabled, we had built a world that fits us all, not out of pity, but out of respect, out of understanding that strength wear many spaces and moves in many ways. Accommodation would be just the way, not an afterthought, not an extra ask. We wouldn't marvel at resilience because the world itself would be resilient, with walls that bend and floors that lift to meet us where we are. If everyone was a little disabled, compassion wouldn't be a policy. It had be the pulse of every heartbeat. And I wouldn't need to explain why I deserve a space in this world. The world would simply be made for me. Thank you.
Okay, I'm supposed to be able to talk now? Goodness, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. I can't even tell you how many times that just resonated so strongly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, thank you for all of gosh. So, thank you for all of your for sharing so much information and insights and really just things that are important. Um, so we're going to take some questions, and I hope anybody people will put their questions into the Q&A, but we have a few that we've already gotten from people. And so and if you want, just add any notes there. So anyway, the first question comes from me, a voter living in France and voting in California. And I want to know, given given the international shifting towards the right or the nationalistic or the repressive or whatever you want to say, what were your thoughts when you heard about the U.S. elections?
Uh,
Tough question.
it was a very it was a surprise, and also, a lot of my friends were really, really feeling very down, very unsafe, and a kind of, I would say, it was a very humbling experience. Like, how you how you are helpless, and somehow
Mm-hmm.
it also made all of us little closer to each other, to hold hands at
Mm-hmm.
this time. And I see this as as a very tough time, but also a time where we will come together more closer, uh,
Mhm.
and we will be working more harder now. So
Mhm.
I think that as a spiritual person, we always think that this has a message from God. This has some message, some universal message that uh, this is a kind of
Mhm.
message that we should come together more closer,
Mhm.
more in solidarity with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that it resonates with what you said earlier about partnership and collaboration. It's just, it's almost like we're forced to do that now. We have to. It's nothing else is going to work. Oh my goodness, that's a good point. Here's one other question sent in by that somebody sent actually earlier, and that is, what inspired the creation of Billion Strong, and how do you see it growing over the coming years? Do you think that? And I'm going to not ask the second part of the question. That what was the point of it, and what what do you think it's going to evolve into?
So Mani, like Billion Strong is like it is it's like a platform where it's kind of, instead of complaining, what should we do? So our team thinks that we have been always saying that if we were in their place, we should have done something better. So now
Mm,
it's our thing, that how we can improve things, if we have the authority, if we have the power. Right now, like, we are uh, struggling for funds. We are struggling, we're applying for opportunities and everything, but at the same time we have done a lot of homework. We have presence in 192 countries. We have a lot of advisors working, in Asia, in Africa, and in South America, in every corner of the world. We have our partner organizations. So I think we have done our homework. We have uh, kind of organize our people. We know that uh, if we have an opportunity in one part of the world, where to go. So we have
mhm,
very specific local partnerships in place. So I think it's an opportunity to prove that we can do better and build a global platform, a kind of a one stop solution where we have different wings uh, to Billion Strong, where one
mhm,
one wing is focusing on education, one wing is focusing on employment, and then we have various local hubs as well. Like, we have one for South Asia, we have one for East Africa, West Africa, like, these kind of uh,
mhm,
uh, divisions. But at the end of the day, like a one big family.
mhm. Yeah. And I think we've moved from 1 billion. I think I talked to Deborah about this. We've moved from 1 billion to probably what 1.4, we'd guess. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
name works as it is. You said maybe you have to start another wing. That's the children's wing or something. So I'm going to introduce Betsy Ettore, who's chair of the senior caucus and also one of our steering committee meeting members. She's checking questions that were sent via the chat here and on Facebook, where we mostly get our viewers. So, Betsy, what have you got for us?
Okay, so I don't have many, but I was wondering if I could take the opportunity to make a comment and ask something myself, if that would be allowed.
Of course.
Well, I was very impressed with something that made me very aware of our language in society. And you hit the nail on the head. Like so many times I can think in the past, hearing people or even myself saying, oh, that person's blind if they don't see what you're saying or they're deaf. Or one thing that I thought about is, oh, that's a lame excuse,
Hmm.
something that we say all the time. So I think that what you've made me really, really aware that this type of talking and insult is something that's been a part of our language and perhaps even in your language as well. So it's something I think that we have to really be aware of. And do you have any hints or, to help us to be really aware of that um, in our own lives? I mean, we should apologize to people, I think, if we say things like that. What do you think?
Uh, Thank you so much, Betsy. Like uh, I have been noticing this pattern in every political campaign. When it's everywhere. It's in our daily life as well. But political campaigns, like a lot of people hear it. A lot of people uh, uh, get influenced, and it become normal. You know that this is how things become normal because it's in common public narrative. Uh, and when I was not in the activism space, I was very insensitive towards that. But when I now I look everything with a disability lens, I
Mhm.
and how I see that, how insensitive it is, because sometimes, only yesterday one of my uncles sent me a kind of a place, in a kind of a temple, which is believed that if you go to the temple and if you offer some kind of worship, you will not be stammering anymore. So, it's so dismissing, because it's been scientifically proven that stammering cannot be cured, and it is not even a defect. It is not a disease, it's not a defect, it's just a condition. Our brains are wired that way. Sometimes our pace, our brain works in such a fast pace that our tongue and mouth is not able to keep up the pace. Sometimes this is also a kind of
Mhm.
theory. This is also uh, with some people. So I think still I face that, and that time I wanted to become invisible. I just wanted to, like,
Mhm.
just hide
Mhm.
somewhere. I just wanted to avoid these things. And I imagine, like, a person who is visually impaired or blind or deaf and hearing all of these conversations, what will that person be feeling about it, because it's so normalized in our society and in every language. I
Mhm.
haven't heard a language where disability is not used as an insult. So I think ableism is universal in that case.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
Gosh.
only solution and only way forward is to be very sensitive and aware how we use words, because uh, I think we humans, use words as to communicate, and words
Yeah.
should be used as a bridge, uh, instead of, insults.
And
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
yeah, and I think that I think the other thing is that anybody should really sort of take a little bit of responsibility for speaking up too, because there are times when it is so darn insult. I mean, there are just times where people you have to say something, I think, and you can do that without being mean, and you can do it privately or publicly, whichever, has to happen. But I think letting people know in a gentle way that something is inappropriate, I think, is the only way they're going to actually internalize that it is. I was just thinking also that it's ironic that you're asking this question, Betsy, because the same thing applies to seniors. If I hear old fashioned,
Absolutely.
or isn't that an old fashioned idea, or like, yeah, well, they're too old, they don't know how to use the computer.
Exactly.
Da da
Yes.
da 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 da.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
And I've
yeah,
experienced that recently.
absolutely. Ageism is such a, uh, people don't even talk about it. And uh, from my own experience, when I was in in a meeting with some of my common friends, and I said that I am a founder of an organization. uh, he was a professor. He said, "Oh, you're so young, how can be your founder?" So this is like
yeah,
both parts. Sometimes youngsters
yes.
face ageism as well. Like, people see us as immature, that that you are not just not ready for some big responsibility. And we have
Mhm.
another part of spectrum uh, uh, where what you have just shared. So I think it works both the way, and it's really
Yeah.
Absolutely.
not fair.
Well, we do
Yeah.
have a question, actually, I'd like to ask you that's popped up in our question and answers. It's from Brenda Aaron, who lives in Portugal and is from Washington State in the United States. And she asks, I'm wondering, as a deaf U.S. Washington State expat living in Portugal, I notice there is a huge diversity in accessibility for the deaf, the blind, and other disabled people all over the world. How can we collaborate and work together if some countries are more progressive and yet others so far behind in services and accessibility? Thank you, Brendan.
Uh,
Brenda.
thank you. Yeah. So I think first of all, there has to be a lot of dialogue and lot of exchange of ideas between various organizations. And what Brenda is specific, like what we personally in our own personal capacity can do, like we can initiate these kind of conversations, this kind of exchange of ideas. If we can introduce the local policymakers to the another policymakers who are doing good. So kind of setting up a meeting or kind of an introduction where we kind of talk and have a conversation around the best practices, and also how to replicate the policy, but considering the various factors, that they are there are a lot of similarities, but all at the same time there are a lot of differences in US and Portugal cultural and parts as well. So how we can replicate one policy to another country, but considering various variables as well, the population, the language, the culture, and all of these things. So I think copy pasting doesn't work. We have to be like very cautious and diligent when we try to learn from other people who have been doing good work. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
It's a great question. Um, we have a question from our environmental caucus, and or they call it's the ECC, the ECCC. And it says that the Paris Agreement requires signatories, those when taking action to address climate change, to respect, promote, and consider their respective obligations on human rights, including those owed to persons with disabilities. What where do you see, how well do you see that happening? And what impact, like Donald Trump's election, who is against the Paris Accords and so on, how strong is that as a what a vehicle, and um how else can we reinforce that actual behavior, do you think?
I think it is a well, to be honest, it is a disaster because we were already so much far behind, and now it will become worse. So it is an
Mhm.
absolute very worrying time in terms of that sharing of resources, sharing of technology, all of these things will really go down. And someone coming from like Asian and African countries like face the wrath of you know uh,
Mhm.
climate change a lot, and we are losing land because of the sea level rise. We are facing that heat wave. We are facing all of these things, and uh, we need cleaner technology for which we need funds and we need resources. But since Trump will be there, there will be more US focused policies, more capitalism in place, more self-centeredness will be there. So US will look inwards now, as he has clearly stated that. And I
Mhm.
hope that there will be less conflict between China and US, because these two giants, play a huge role in even in like carbon emissions and
Mhm.
and everything. So we can just spray.
I sense a lot of leaders of other countries trying to figure out what to do next because of that, and also kind of pivoting a little bit into the way into some of their thinking and kind of coming out with things that surprise me. Have you felt that in general that have you felt that whole sort of capital a nationalistic right wing sort of feeling in many places?
It's everywhere. Like, it's a wave. It's
It's
everywhere,
a way.
in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in America. Like, it's I think it's a transition that people will realize that
Hmm.
uh, uh,
Um,
that no that okay, we were just tired because things have been so bad lately, so they are trying something new, but they will come back soon. I hope so.
they'll see, I hope. Yeah, I think, well, and again, it argues for people like yourself who consider kind of things in a holistic way and look at not just disabilities, but disabilities in the context of the environment and in the context of, or the environment in the context of disabilities, both ways. And just to take all the people with the strength and the vision to see what's wrong and have them work together rather than as allies, as you said, is, in my personal opinion, is the only way that the change is going to be able to happen. I don't think, like you said, that duplicating more groups for anything, that's not the way to go. It's instead of duplicating groups, let's combine our power and our work
Absolutely,
and our
yes, yes.
folk our strategies.
Yeah.
It's just it's yeah. Sorry, preaching to the choir.
And also,
So,
like, in the recent COP, in
mhm,
we have been just starting to talk about uh, disability and climate change together. It's a very
mhm,
new intersection that which we are exploring, and all with that as well. Only few organizations have been given the opportunity to express. So, that's the selective exclusionary kind of, that elite uh,
mhm,
organizations will go and talk, and will give their feedback. So I think with that kind of input, we will have a similar kind of output, which will be more leading to exclusion. So I think we need more diversity in representation as well, from various
yes,
other countries. Otherwise, COP. I'm happy that we are considering disability and climate together. Yeah.
that's good news. Let's see. Do you have?
Yeah,
There's
I
a.
have two more questions here. Okay. So the first one is, with so many issues to juggle, what do you see as today's top priorities, our must wins?
I think uh, the human uh, the human selfishness, the human greed, the human
Mhm,
desire to gain more and more, to be, you know to compete, these
mhm,
kind of things, if we are able to control that, if we're able to put check on ourselves, it will be good
mhm,
for our mental health, and it will be good for the climate as well, because climate change is the manifestation of human mind. We are,
mhm,
trying to gain and make more and more and more and more money, more and more profit. So I think it's just a manifestation of our endless desires. So we need to stop somewhere, and to take a break. That will be good for our mental health and for our climate both.
yes, it's great. Thank you. So I don't know, have you worked with we have a Veterans and Military Families Caucus, and they were wondering if you have seen differences in, not necessarily even just U.S. veterans, but in with veterans and the way that they're treated around in various countries, just people, veterans with disabilities, I should say.
Yeah, I think their distance from the uh, civilian population, and how
Mhm,
the veterans look at the world, and how the society look at veterans. It's a very uh, kind of a dynamic equation, and how at times when they become disabled, they become kind of they grow older, the kind of support given to them can definitely improve. uh, and we
mhm,
need to like acknowledge that there is a loophole, in the way that we care for them, especially like in the context of aging and disability, because we have to be prepared for a big aging population. We see what's been happening in Japan. So how Japan is tackling a big, aging population, because aging will require a lot of accessibility, with a lot of support, a lot of care. And are we ready for that kind of healthcare? Are we ready for that kind of expenditure in accessibility? So I think this is a very good question, and we must all think about and engage.
mhm. Yeah, because people, it can be very an isolated group that people don't think about. I think that's a really good
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
So I have a question that's related to Marnie's question here. And obviously, there are many areas of conflict around the globe. Can you comment on the situation for people with disabilities in these situations? Say, like, give Ukraine as an example. What are their most pressing needs?
When I remember when the conflict started, I just wrote one thing, and I still stick. Wherever it is happening, war is a mass disabling event. People become disabled. No matter
Mm-hmm.
what, we just lose in war. And you know we have become so polarized that we have become very selective. you know that that one side, losing one side is like more precious than the other. Human lives are equal, and it's so heartbreaking to see that people are like voluntarily becoming disabled to escape for the to become a soldier in Russia. And that was really alarming, because they don't have option, they don't want to fight, but still, they don't have fighters. So they need people, so they will be sending whatever young men they are finding. So it's very inhumane. And it's I think the healthcare has crumbled, and it's such a big thing that we actually have forgotten the pain. Let's pray, and let's hope that in 2025 we see more peaceful world. Uh, don't look like so, but yeah, let's see, let's hope, let's pray. Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah,
very much.
great. I'm going to sneak in, I think, a final question. This is great. This conversation, I could go on talking to you for another day, but it's not fair to you. But the question I want to finish off with is, if you had a chance to share a message with the entire billion 400,000 um, people with disabilities, what would it be?
I think for me it will be like, uh, to all the disabled people, don't kill your 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 right to be happy. Don't kill your very essence which makes you human. If you have an hobby, if you want to uh, uh, pursue education, if you want to do something in your life, please go ahead with that. uh, um, maybe we don't have the resources, that maybe we do not have the access, uh, but I think we have to be the first one sometimes as well. And the first one will always struggle a little bit more, but at least the world would know that what we need, and it will open up that space for more disabled people. So in a lot of fields, like we need to go, we need to explore, we need to try various things, try various professions, try
Mhm.
various forms of disabled joy. Even like, if you like someone, just say to that person that you like, because dating for disabled people is also very challenging, and we must pursue love. We must pursue all of these things that which makes us human, in terms of professional, in terms of professional life, personal life, relationships, everything. Just try to live
Mhm.
a holistic life. It's very difficult. I'm just saying it, but let's try. Let's
Mhm.
try to make, and be in the, because it's a quote by Sandy Ho, which says that, even like our presence, our act of showing up is revolutionary. If we are just there, if we are just showing up, it's a revolution in itself, and we must keep the revolution going.
Oh, I want to start a quote book. That is so great. Thank you so much. And think I just moved everything here. Sorry. So listen, Praneet, you are a truly amazing individual, and we are so lucky to have had you with us. It's been terrific. And not only do we appreciate you, but also the incredible amount of work that you do. I think your energy is amazing. I hope it's catching. And of course, we are grateful that you came and you shared your time. And before we go to our closing, is there any last word you want to say? Although, be sharing.
I would be really thankful, Marnie, Betsy, and the team, the Democrats abroad. I would love to, be in other sessions as well, just as an audience, maybe not as a speaker, but it's a wonderful uh, platform. And I would say that in these difficult times, I stand in solidarity with our global community, and let's pray that we have a wonderful 2025 and beyond. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Gosh, thank you. Thank you. Now, and Betsy is going to close us up with some reminders and messages, but yes, thank you very much. And I hope you have a wonderful day and
Thank you so
year.
much, Mandy. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
the opportunity. Thank you.
sure.
And I also say that we have a lovely comment from one of our
Oh,
participants, and I'd like to read it to you. She said, this is Jessica Espadas, very motivating to hear this message of hope grounded in action points. Thank you for sharing your perspective and experience. So
oh,
she's
Jessica.
quite happy, glad that she was able
Yay.
to attend.
Yay.
So I could just say in closing, we'd like to give a big shout out to all our great volunteers, both on camera and behind the scenes. Please consider joining our team. No matter what your time restraints, we'd love to have you join the caucus. We're working on plans for next year and could really use your help. You should take a look at the resources page on our website. You'll find some information we think is extremely useful, like mental health hotlines or major disability-related law listed by country. Also, your support goes a long way. Please visit our donations page. We do need resources to provide things like sign language interpreters and many other accessibility tools. Even a small donation helps. We'd also like to hear from you. So here's our email. I think that Marnie will put that on the screen. But for now, we'll say goodbye, and we're going to close the call. Thanks very much for joining us and for helping create a more accessible and welcoming Democrats abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
Have a great day.